are adopted. That'll take us to item number 5, which is the financial report, and I will ask our director to come forward and give us a financial report. And Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year. Glad to be back.
Really?
Yes, I hope so.
Well, good morning, Mayor Pro Tem, and Council. I'm Carrie Lang, the Director of Austin Budget and Organizational Excellence, and today I will talk through the fourth quarter financial report. We distributed the report yesterday evening to the Council, so you'll have all that backup detail to read. Today we'll just do high-level highlights from the report. And then, of course, if you all have any questions, I'm happy to answer those questions. I know we are short on time, so I'll kind of go through this quickly and see if you all have any questions. I do want to reiterate that these are our unaudited numbers. Austin Financial Services will be providing the full fiscal year 25 final numbers in the annual comprehensive financial report later this year. And so I do want to talk about, as we look at our financial report, and as I talk through this presentation, and when you look at the report, I want to make sure we all understand that when we are creating our budgets, the timeline that we're looking at and how we're talking about this, we're going to talk a little bit about how fiscal year 25 ended compared to their current year estimate. And then there's some conversation, of course, as looking at how we ended compared to our adopted or amended budget for fiscal year 25. When we do that, it's because we want to give a clear picture of what was budgeted, but our current year estimate is a really important number as well because we use that in order to build the fiscal year 26 budget. And so this slide just kind of talks through, we're talking about our current year estimate, whether we do, how we do compared to that current year estimate can impact what we're seeing in fiscal year 26 for our adopted budget, as well as how we transfer or talk through the rest of this fiscal year as we monitor fiscal year changes. So when we look at our general fund highlights for fiscal year 25, I think there are some key takeaways that we want to make sure everyone understands. For revenue, we did end revenue above our estimate, $0.6 million or $600,000 above the estimate. Our general fund expenditures as a whole were $3 million below our estimate for the fiscal year. Overall, in the end of the fiscal year, we are moving $3.6 million to our reserves for fiscal year 25. When we look at our reserves level, we are ending the year, we're projected to end the year at 16.2% compared to the 16.7% that was budgeted for fiscal year 25. And most of that change, that reduced reserves amount, is because of the anticipated FEMA payments that we thought we were going to get in fiscal year 25 that has not come in yet. So we'll move on to revenue highlights. This chart here is just showing you our different major revenue sources and then walking through, again, our amended budget for revenue, looking at where we are year to date, our current year estimate for as of the end of June or early July for our estimate, and then the percentages that we came in compared to our budget. I will note that the sales tax revenue includes 2 months of accruals. As you all know, those revenues come in on a lag. Some key takeaways for our revenue, our sales tax, we are $11.9 million below our budget for fiscal year 25, but we are $3.5 million above our estimate for fiscal year 25. So we did better than we estimated during the proposed budget process. We are continuing to see flat revenue in sales tax, and we're continuing to monitor that, and we'll be providing updates as the year goes forward. In our EMS billing, as we've mentioned over the last several months, EMS did receive additional revenue over what was budgeted. They actually did better than their CYE, about $1.2 million over their CYE. They've continued to work on billing efficiencies over the last several years, and also they had a increased revenue from Central Health, higher than anticipated, as well as their charity care came in higher than budgeted. This slide, again, goes through our general fund departments so that you can see the changes for fiscal year end, as well as compared to the amended budget and our estimate. And this just gives each department so you can see the numbers that they came in compared to what was budgeted and estimated. if we look at the highlights or the key takeaways for that, we identified in fiscal year 25 a 1.5% budget savings for the fiscal year to help make sure we were balanced in by the end of 25. 8 of the 12 departments reached that target, so they reached that 1.5% savings. And then those 4 that did not is animal services, fire, parks and recreation, and police. However, animal services also exceeded their appropriation or their budget for fiscal year 25. They went about $275,000 over budget, and that was primarily due to some of the long-term or responses to animal care at the shelter that caused increased expenses for last fiscal year. Our social service contracts came in at 99.62, so pretty much spent all of our social service contract dollars for fiscal year 25. And then when you look at our overall appropriation, we came in at 98.8% of our total appropriation for last fiscal year. Again, the 1%, about 1% savings in department savings, and then we had 2.8% savings in our non-departmental appropriations. When we look at our enterprise departments, our fourth quarter report and all of our reports include our major enterprise funds. They include Convention Center, Resource Recovery, Austin Energy, Austin Water, Aviation, Development Services, Transportation Public Works, and Watershed Protection. And so when you look at those major funds, all of those other funds besides Development Service Permitting Fund came in according to their planned budget and appropriation and current year estimate for fiscal year 25. So there's nothing major that happened on most of our enterprise departments. In our permitting fund and development services, they continue to see a reduction in revenue. So they were $6.4 million below their budgeted revenue, and then their expenditures were also below their budget. So as we're continuing to see a constriction in or decline in our development, our department is really working to reduce the expenditures along with that to make sure we offset that revenue decline. And then the last thing that I'm going to talk about are our vacancy rates. When we look at the end of fiscal year 25, we had a vacancy rate citywide of 9.1%. That is the lowest citywide vacancy rate that we've had since 2019. We are continuing to see lower civilian vacancy rates. It's at 7.7. Our capital delivery services department does have a 15% vacancy rate that they're working on ongoing recruitment efforts to address that increased vacancy rate for CDS. And then when we look at our sworn vacancies, we have 16.6% for EMS, 5.4% for fire, and 17.8% for police. That is my presentation for today. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. Mayor Pro Tem.
Just a quick one. It's a great presentation, greatly appreciated. I don't see it in the backup on the Audit and Finance Committee website. I just wanted to note that, and so we can get it back there for the public.
We will make sure it's added to backup.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Councilmember Lane?
I have primarily, thank you for this really helpful report. I wanted to daylight that we are working out agenda items for the Public Safety Committee, one of which will likely include an agenda item for vacancy rates on those highlighted agencies. And
oh, good.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Yes, Councilmember Alter.
I also want to, there we go. One thing that we've asked for future quarterly reports that I think will be helpful for all of us to have the information is the overtime spending for our 3 public safety departments, just so we can keep a close eye and not be surprised come August and July of, they're either over or under by a significant amount. So appreciate going forward in the next quarter that information being included.
Yes, that will be included in our beginning in fiscal year 26, our first quarter. We wanted to close out fiscal year 25 in the same format, and then we'll transition for fiscal year 26.
Thank you. Councilmember Duchin?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Carrie, for the updates. I just had 2 questions. One is, I noticed in addition to the EMS spending that you touched on, the EMS revenue you touched on, that it looked like almost all of our finding categories are well above what we projected for revenue in terms of other fines, library fines, parking violations, et cetera. Some of these are significant. I think parking alone was $3.7 million above what we originally projected. Who would I talk to about why it seems like that was a major additional source of revenue this year, well above all projections across all violation categories?
Let's connect after the meeting, and we can walk through it and get you some details.
Thank you. Second question was just on the CIP bond update page. It looked like financial services was way off. I'm just assuming that's a typo. Can you confirm that?
Okay.
List of
Let me
spending
look.
is about
Yes.
18.6 million.
Let
and the
me
year
look
to
at that.
date
I think
is
that
about
is a typo.
184 million.
I think that is the typo. Let me look at that, and I'll get it updated.
Okay, that's all I had. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councilmember. Any other questions of the director? Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate you.